Today's subject's going to be a little heavy, but it's necessary. Click in. Hey there, I'm Lindsay, and this is Clarity Couture. I wanted to say thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here, for taking the time to be present with me. I appreciate you. It's no secret what's happening with our country right now. And my heart breaks for the citizens of this country, for those who have been unheard, who have been broken, beaten, abused, and killed. It really doesn't matter how I feel about it. Because let's face it, the color of my skin has granted me a free pass from ever dealing with that. I can only compare with discrimination that I've received from others, but even that fails in comparison. I think that we should take a second to just honor George Floyd, who deserved so much more, not just as a black man, but a human. I want to take a second to list the other names who have been killed at the hands of those who were there to protect and serve. Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant, Eric Garner, Philando Castile, Samuel Dubose, Sandra Bland, Walter Scott, Terrence Crutcher. These are just a few of so many. And I want to take a second to define privilege, because a lot of people have this misconstrued idea that if you fall under the category of a white privileged human, then you've somehow led an easier life. The privilege that we get is not an easy life. Some of us have had terrible lives. The privilege we get is like a fucking bus pass. That's our privilege. We never had to question where we sat in the fucking bus. This is over 400 years of oppression. This is over 400 years of humans judging other humans, basing their worth on the pigment of their skin. When I was 7 years old, I came home from school and I said the one word no Caucasian should ever say. I don't need to go into detail. You guys know what I'm talking about. And my mother looked at me horrified. She said, "What did you say? Where did you hear that?" And then when I said it again, because I didn't know what it meant, I didn't know what it was. It's just a word. It's just a word. I don't know. It's like the color pink to me. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know that there were 400 years of oppression and hatred behind that word. I didn't know about slavery. And then I said that word. And now I may not have a really great relationship with my mother. She would never allow us to see others anyway as another human. So in speaking with my 11-year-old about things, who is very much away from this, and when I was speaking with him, I said, "Fallon, when a black man gets shot and he begins to bleed, what color is his blood?" And naturally he said red, obviously. I said, "Okay, and what happens if a Japanese man gets shot?" And he said, "Well, they'd bleed too." He said, "And it would probably hurt." Yeah, probably would. And we ran through all of the races. And then we got down to Caucasians. And I said, if a white person gets shot, color is their blood. And he said red. Now, my son's never been taught racism, so he didn't really get where I was going. Like, he was kind of like, my friends are waiting for me on video game, Mom. And I recognize the privilege in me even being able to say that. And that's when I said to him, I need you to pay attention, because where you're safe at home tonight, there are kids that are your age that don't have a place to sleep because of the riots. Now, when you're teaching your children about racism, I'm speaking to my fellow white people, there is no room for us to walk on eggshells. The only way that we did this is if we are completely honest with them. And before anyone says, my child can't handle it, look at the fucking video games they play. Your child can handle knowing about history and slavery, what the black people as a community has had to deal with, because us as a race of whites, we could never. Are you fucking kidding me? And I realize that some people that watch my stuff may walk away from this. And to you, I say goodbye. I wasn't raised with racism. Now that you know that racism is taught, we can go a step further and even go ahead and say that racism is a belief, a very, very, very rooted, ingrained belief. And what is a fucking belief? We'll put that video right up there. A belief is a thought that you have put on repeat. So someone, somewhere in your world told you that someone else's life didn't matter, and you held to that belief as fact. And I just want to say, if you were to have all the people that you hated laying around you dead and there was piles of blood, it would be the same color as yours. I know for a lot of people it's dangerous to just speak up. For instance, not to throw this town under the bus, but what the fuck. I live in the capital of Oregon. There are new businesses downtown. Newly built businesses. Nice businesses, sure. Definitely. They're community built businesses. But because of the riots and the things going on, they were worried about their businesses. So they had AK-47s. That's what I read anyways. I could be completely mistaken, but this is where I read on the police department's Instagram where people were commenting. So feel free to, let me know if I'm wrong. But I just can't see how going down to a business with AK-47s is setting anyone up for anything. This is the problem with America, that people actually genuinely think that a business is more important than a life. I'm just blown away. The humans have really shown who they are, and silence is a stance. Saying all lives matter is feeding into the hatred, so it's also a stance, and it's the wrong side of history. And I would just like to point out that every single time this country has had a change over tyrannical bullshit, it usually starts in peaceful protest. Sadly, with the way this country was built, it usually ends in some sort of violent revolt, and that's what you guys are seeing right now. You are seeing 400 plus years of oppression, of people being murdered, ripped out of their homes, taken down, judged by fucking pigment of their color. They're looked down upon. People think that they're less smart. Are you kidding me? First off, can we talk about the ignorance of thinking that someone is less than you? The ignorance needed to think that someone of color is less than you. We all bleed red. And right now, our country's bleeding as a whole. And I don't think things that used to matter will matter after this. So those taking the side of a policed state and basically martial law, when you get to a point where you don't like it and you miss the freedom, just realize and recognize your part in that being a reality. And for those of you who manifest, I want to address what's being said. Yes, his last words were, "I can't breathe." But I need to point out how powerful it is for a group of people with anger and aggression to get onto a street and all chant, "I can't breathe." Now, please set aside our anger for what's happening, because it's valid and it should be happening. And a lot of those who are looting, yeah, some are of the communities. Some of people are looting their own communities, yes. But a lot of the looting, it's been shown outside of the controlled media that it isn't those who live in the communities. Who they are and where they come from, I don't know. But it's been very obvious and apparent if you do any actual research. And because of social media, because there's so many people with a phone in their hand at all times, it's pretty impossible to just erase all this off the internet. Which comes to my next point. Those who can manifest, knowing what saying "I can't breathe" over and over and over in an angry chant is doing to manifest for the world, right? Especially in midst of a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic that attacks your ability to breathe. I don't want to get into conspiracies because that's not what I'm here for. But I'm just going to say, if you can see the following of events and see how things have been happening and see how it set the entire world up to react, then you can see how important it is that you don't manifest something that it's very obvious that whoever is in power wants to happen. If you're going to go out on the streets and chant, first off, as much as I think it's so important for this to be happening, they're not doing it fairly. It doesn't matter if you're going out there peaceful. They're still tear gassing. They're still clearing the way. Because of that, it's so important to come together as a whole in a way that works towards the ultimate goal, which is abolishing racism, completely destroying it. That separation is loud, and the world has existed and thrived on that separation for a long time. And I'm not really sure. I think everybody else, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys were also aware that the world has kind of been falling apart. So yes, it is very revolutionary, but it's also the time. So those who are afraid to speak out, but you agree that what is being done is wrong, script, there has been justice for all. Everyone that has been wrong has been given not just their justice, but their validation to be heard. Because it isn't really needing a validation of someone else. It's needing to be able to accept that where you are is safe. And that's the problem right now. Is that where a lot of people are, they don't have a chance of feeling safe. And it's been like that for a very long time. And for those who have never had to experience that, it's hard for them to grasp why someone would riot and throw things because they've never had their lives threatened for a simple traffic stop, or looked down upon and followed in a store because they were wearing a sweater and a beanie that day. Those who have had the privilege of not experiencing that may not carry the hate of racism, but their inability to take the time to learn about it is just like agreeing with it. So if you've never really experienced it, and this is the first time you've ever seen anything like this, your mind is probably blown. Like, you're probably like, what the fuck? We step into a movie, because this is like every movie we've ever seen for the last 10 years. And I'd like to point out again how powerful we are in that this is just like a movie that we've been seeing play out. What was that show? Handmaid's Tale, I think is what it was called. I didn't watch it. I didn't fucking like it. I didn't like the idea of living in a completely police state and having to follow the rules and just hope that I was what someone needed to survive. I didn't like watching that, so I didn't watch it. But here we are. Here we are. So for everybody that enjoyed those shows and is now seeing this play out, do you still question that you're a source creator? Do you still question that the thoughts that you carry in your head and the emotions that you feel when you watch a movie are not real? Do you really question that they don't come to fruition? Because your world is playing out just as all of your favorite TV shows and movies have the past 10 years. And I don't think we need to even point out that the black guy always dies first in the scary movies. They totally do. My mind goes blank trying to explain how wrong this is. And I don't want to focus on how wrong it is, because we know how wrong it is. I want us instead to shift into the power that they no longer have over us. Instead of going out and protesting, because the only way they're seeing it is rioting. And the only way that they know how to respond to rioting is tear gas and rubber bullets. So you say protest, they see riot. Let me say that again. You see protest, they see riot. They're only trained to do one thing when they come across rioting. So now that you're aware of the fact that every time something like this happens, there's probably going to be some sort of reaction from them in regards to them seeing a riot. Because of this, we have to stand together and we have to connect as a collective and use our energy. We have to connect our energy, and we have to be the more powerful energy. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if they have to do all of that to ask us to stop protesting, I think we have a lot of energy behind us. So instead of taking that and reacting and physically giving that energy out, hold on to it. Hold on to it and hone it. You're hurt, you're upset, you're mad. Okay, and you have every right to be. The whole world should be fucking mad, because when one of us is discriminated against, all of us are discriminated against. And it's funny to me because I think it was Martin Luther King that said, rioting is the action of the unheard. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but that's so powerful. And it's so true. Over 400 years of begging, just begging to be seen as human. The time is now. You can change this. Your energy is so fucking lit right now. You can change this. How do you want the outcome? Justice for all. We have justice for all. We have abolished racism. Discrimination is the crime. Love is the answer. And now they've met this with love for 400 years. Some of the best people in my life are of a different ethnicity than white. Fucking the majority of the people in my life. And I just want to honor every single person, human, that's ever been discriminated against because of the color of your skin. I'm sorry. I wish we were better, but wishing keeps it away. So instead I'm going to say we are better. This was the revolution that changed it. This was the revolution that changed everything for the better. It was hard, and it was a battle, and we had to scream, but we were heard for the first time in over 400 years. We were heard, and for the first time in 400 years, I can breathe. You can breathe. You are alive. That's the kicker, isn't it? That's what really upsets them. You can breathe. You are alive, and it's your power, in your strength, in your drive that changed everything, that played into everything. So the pain that we feel today and the pain that we feel from yesterday and the pain that those that have been there before us have felt so that there could be this revolution now. It was not for nothing. It took way longer than it should have. But this is the revolution that changed it. This revolution abolished racism. Say it with me. Discrimination is the crime. Justice for all. Discrimination is the crime. Justice for all. Discrimination is the crime. Justice for all. And I want you guys to remember that if you have a roof over your head, you have the blessing of being able to go into a store and not be looked at any type of way. Although I think because we're basically in martial law at this point, everyone's being looked at as if they're a protester. My city just went into its state of emergency for the state of Oregon. I'm in the capital. So, who knows if, the citizens going out of their house and carrying AK-47s had anything to do with it. Who fucking knows? But I know that fighting hatred and anger with more hatred and anger only results in buildings get blown up. If you're someone that would protest right now, I'm just going to ask that you don't. And it's not because I don't want martial law. It's because I don't want you getting hurt. We see protest, they see riot. We see protest, they see riot. How are they trained to deal with a riot? Tear gas, rubber bullets, fighting them directly isn't working. Get smarter. Plan, plot, strategize, organize, mobilize. I think I missed one, but it's a pretty good plan. If what they're doing is only hurting us, taking us out, making us look like we're the bad guys, stop protesting. Go quiet. That would probably scare the shit out of them. Wait a minute, we just rolled into town. Everybody's gone. Where are they? Crickets. This doesn't get better. Serving hate to more hate. Now is the time to go inside and figure out how you can make your thoughts work towards your outcome. Justice for all. Discrimination is the crime. Justice for all. Discrimination is the crime. And to all of my humans, I know that now is a very triggering time hearing those of us with no idea of what it feels like to be discriminated at this level. But I do want to say that those of us who have felt discrimination on other levels see you. Because not all of those who have been served with the privilege of being white have been served with the privilege of respect from their fellow humans as well. And so those of us who may not share the same skin tone do understand. If you're somebody that it's happened to, the only thing you can do is stand up and fight. And I want to apologize that it took us this long. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it took us this long to stand and fight with you. But we're here now. We're not fucking going anywhere. I think Anonymous was the one that said the government should be afraid of the people, and I'm not threatening the government, but there's a lot more of us. So instead of attacking physically, pull in your energy. Have a Zoom call and talk to everybody that is upset and say, how do we want this outcome to go? What is the best outcome for us? And talk about best case scenario. Please do this. Please. Please do this, because you may not know your power, but I do, and they do. Let me say that again. Those who were causing the pain know the power behind your thoughts, and they know that if they can get you to react, you're not thinking. And if you're not thinking, you're not directing your power. So stop reacting and start thinking. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm saying this because you have the power to change this, and that's what they're terrified of. I love you guys, and I'm here. I am here if anyone wants to talk. I love you. Namaste.